Today, we're going to be taking a look at Thanksgiving and how we're going to handle Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is not going to be like it usually is. And because we're all going to have our own separate Thanksgivings at our different houses this year, then it's going to be two of us. And so I have to think about, what do I want to fix? How much do I want to fix? And am I going to go through the full menu like I always do, since there's just the two? So that's something to really keep in mind. And it's very possible, we hope not, but it's very possible that Christmas may be the same way. So my little mind is trying to think about, what shall we do? Because on Christmas Day, I do not want to spend the whole day in the kitchen like I normally am, because I'm preparing a major function. And for Thanksgiving, I don't want to be in the kitchen all day, because I'm just preparing dinner, or if we have it a little earlier, lunch. And so we're going to think about what exactly we're going to do, and if we're going to leave something out, what that's going to be. But you know what? I'm not going to leave things out for you, because I want you to be able to know exactly what regular Thanksgiving dinners are like here in the kitchen, and the types of things that we have in the kitchen. So let's take a look. Now, before we go any further, I hope if you are a member of the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family, that you will continue to follow our channel. You know, we do things in the kitchen for the kitchen, and that includes decorating, that includes cooking, that includes the chit chat and the meal planning. Those are the kind of things that we do right here in the kitchen, because the kitchen is the hub. It's where everybody likes to come. Everybody shows up in the kitchen and stands around and waits for those dishes to come out of the oven or off the stove, so that they could be the first one to get in whatever it is. Now, for those of you who are new, I am so excited that you have chosen to stop by today. And as you can see, we've been doing some holiday decorating. This is our winter decor, part of the winter decor that we're going to have. And you'll see a little extras go in as we get closer to Christmas. Now, I hope you will stay with us. I hope you will take the time to click on that subscribe button if you have not already done so. Please do that. You can support this channel today, and it won't cost you a dime. All it takes is for you to click right there at the bottom and say, I want to be a family member, and I want to follow this channel. So click on that notification bell as well, so that you'll be notified every time I upload. I love my family, and I think of you daily. I hope you will stay with us. I hope that we can encourage and support each other every day. And I hope that I can inspire you to show some love, not only to your immediate family, but to people you don't even know. And in today's world, with the things that are going on today, we have to do some of that loving and some of that encouraging at a distance. And so we're going to find ways to be able to do that. So stay tuned. Now, I love slow rise breads. I like those kind of breads that we can put together, whether it's sourdough, whether it's just a regular yeast bread, that you can put it together quickly. You can sit it into a nice warm spot and let it do its thing. Let that yeast work. And that's what we're going to be working on today, a slow rise. Now, I'm going to need a large bowl, because it's going to need room to work. I'm taking out my largest bowl. Now, in this bowl, you get a little coffee because you know it's early. In this bowl, we're going to need about, I'm going to say 6 cups of flour. Now I'm going to use my half cup measure just because it works out better size wise. And we're going to work through this. So I'm going to measure out. So 6 cups. I need 12. So that's 1. That's 1 cup. Two cups. Another one. May have to pull out the biggie. I wasn't sure how much I had left in these. That's 2.5. So here's 3 cups. 3.5. 4 cups. 4.5. 5 cups. And let's see how much we got. 5 cups. Got 5.5, and I think between the two, we may be able to get that last half. That's 1. Let's see. Oh yeah. And 6. We've got 6 cups of flour. So these are those little Chinese containers. I just fill those up, and they're just so convenient to be able to use right here. They don't take up a lot of space. So there's our flours, our containers. So I'm going to sit them over here because they'll need refilling. Now, normally I would have 1.5 cups for 3 cups. So I'm going to need 3 cups. So what I'm going to do is put in 1.5 cup of water and 1.5 cups of milk. And I'm warming our our water to lukewarm. Okay. The water is in. Let me get the milk. We're going to put in 1.5 cups of milk. Milk just gives it that special texture that you're going to like. I always add milk. All right, so there's our milk. And while I'm over here in the refrigerator, I'm going to take out the yeast because we are going to need some yeast. Now, I keep my yeast in the freezer. And that's because of the fact that I want it to stay fresh. Flour. All right, let's get some yeast. Ooh, nice and stiff. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of yeast. I'm going to sprinkle over the top. Now, we need a little bit of sugar. Now, you can decide if you have honey, you can use honey. But if you don't, use sugar. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of salt. So I have my salt. There's 1 and 2. And you know, normally you kind of have to be careful with how you put the sugar and the salt in, not with this recipe. That's not an issue. Okay, so I've got everything in, and I'm going to get my wooden spoon, and we're going to be ready to mix. Now this is going to be a very shaggy dough. So I'm just going to take it, and we're going to stir until everything is nice and moist. And it's going to take a little muscle, because you'll see it starts out very easy, but then it's going to start to get really, I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see, because you need to know what this dough is going to look like. Okay, now, so we're just taking the end of the spoon and we are stirring, and we're trying to make sure we get as much of that flour into the mixture as we can. And I'm going to move these out of the way because I'm going to need to pull it up close. This has really gotten very, very stiff. Now, as you look toward the bottom, make sure you get down there, because you're going to see that there's flour down there hiding. Let's see if I can show you. You can see where there's flour way down there. So we want to make sure we get all of that off the bottom. No mixer, just a little muscle. And I even take the dough itself and kind of go around the sides to make sure that I get everything off the sides. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to let this rest for about 30 minutes. Then I'm going to give it another really good stir. And then I'm going to let it sleep. And it's going to sleep anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. The timing is up to you. Now, we're going to let it rest. Okay, you see, it's awfully stringy. But you'll see how much it will change over the next few moments. Let me wash your hands, and then I'm going to cover it. I was hoping this little plate would work, but I don't think it's going to be big enough. So I'm going to take my microwave top, and I'm going to sit it right in there. Rinse that off. Make sure it's clean. Now, This is my microwave cover, and I'm just going to take it and sit it right over it, and I'm going to sit this in the microwave for 30 minutes. The microwave is not on. This is so much fun. I'm really enjoying having you right here in the kitchen. And you know, there's nothing like fresh baked bread. What I'm doing is that I am refilling the containers that I keep in my pantry. Each of these, I call them Chinese soup containers, holds about 3.5 cups of flour. So really, when I'm fixing bread, I can almost just pour them straight out. And that's something that I really like to do. I like to be able to keep them just like this so that I always have 2 containers ready for bread and ready to go. We're going to get our scraper, and we're going to go around the sides. It's a lot stiffer at this point, and we're just going to turn it in on itself. Go around and turn it in, just folding it over on itself. Make sure you get everything. Remember, this is enough for 2 bowls, or you can use it for rolls. You can use this for cinnamon rolls if you want to do that, or you can just bake a couple of loaves of bread. You can even use this as pizza dough. See? Notice the difference? All right. Now, when I cover this time, I'm not going to touch it anymore for the next 12 to 24 hours. This is a slow rise bread. Bread has been sleeping for 24 hours, and it's time to get it awake and ready to go. Well, guys, the bread just came out of the oven, and as you can see, we've got our parchment paper that's here, and I'm going to take it off the parchment. I'm trying to do this one-handed, so I'm going to set this camera in a little better spot. And then I'm going to take the parchment paper off because it really does need to sit on a rack and cool. Okay, here's my rack. And I have to be very careful around the brazier because it just came out of that 450 oven. I turned it down to 450 because it looked like it was getting a little too hot. So I'm going to take the parchment off. You can see it's nice and hollow. Takes a minute to get all the paper off. I could have sprayed it, but I was afraid that it would get too soggy because the bread was already pretty moist. So I'm just making sure our paper's off. And then I'm going to flip our bread over. Another piece of paper. All right. Turn this over and voila, put this on our sheet there. All right, so this I'll put over in the pan and let it soak a minute. That will clean up very quickly. And here is our beautiful, can you hear that hollow sound? That's the top, you know it's done. And of course, here's the bottom. And it's nice and hollow as well. So, that part of our baking is done. Now, I went ahead and put the rolls in the oven. They're going to stay in for about 30 minutes. And as soon as they're ready, I'll put them right here. Well, here's our long rise bread. And I've sliced it in half so you can see the crumb. You know how moist it was. And I just wanted to let you get a good look at that bread. It's had a chance to cool, and you know we cooked it over there in the brazier. Well, you know what? I thought I would actually get all of this in one video, but it was just too long. And so I'm going to split our preparation and our bread into two different videos. We are just getting started here in the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme kitchen with Thanksgiving. And the first part of the preparation, of course, was the actual planning. The next part was preparing the breads, because we can do that in advance. And in fact, we've got plenty of time for bread. So we are today taking care of the No Knead bread. But the next video is going to be all about Parker House rolls. And let me tell you, they are little pillows of delicious goodness that you will not want to miss. Stay tuned.